Hey everybody, this is Al with El Rey Collection. Hope everything is going well as we get 2023 underway. Before I get to my 2023 forecasts and predictions, I figured it would be good to see how I did in 2022. I did this in the middle of the year last year as well. Not a ton changed since then, so this will be a much quicker video. Before we kind of get moving too much, I want to remind everybody about this disclaimer. Yes, zoom in to all this fine print. I'm not making any financial advice or recommendations. This is supposed to be fun. That goes for both me and my company. There's lots of things that I'll say here that will not happen. I guarantee you that. Anything that I say, whether I'll expect or may or I project, are just my theories, not meant to be investment advice or anything like that. So anyway, check with your accountants, your financial your financial advisors before you spend any money on cards or anything else for that matter. Okay, so let's jump in to my predictions from last year. Again, it was meant to be fun. This is meant to be fun. I thought that if half of those predictions came true, the market would be in a good spot. It is, ironically, for different reasons. And of course, I love to hear your guys' thoughts as we kind of go through this and see what happened in 2022 and look forward to 2023. I'll do a 2023 video here soon because we're already 9 days into it. So want to do that as well. And, as always, I'll try to let you know of any potential biases that I may have. And most of the cards, except for sales, are my cards in this presentation. So obviously, if I had a crystal ball, I'd be retired and not have a day job. So hopefully you guys will like this review of what I have in 2020. Went the wrong direction. 2022. All right. So at the beginning of the year, I guessed that a pre-war soccer card, it's amazing this is only 12 months ago, would sell for $10,000. We had no card that had sold for $10,000. We had a number of cards that sold for more than $10,000 in 2022. The most spectacular of which was the Messi Market, which sold for more than $70,000. And then there was a Bloomer St. Pete's that got up to $40,000. It was a iconic card that had been rumored to exist for a long period of time, but had never really been seen, at least by myself, and that ultimately got up to 40. I did not win either of those auctions, although I have a Larati and have other rare Bloomer cards, but nothing as rare as the St. Pete's card. So who will the next candidates be for five-figure cards? I think especially pre-World War II, I think you got to assume good condition Dixie Dean, rookie. You got to assume maybe Taddy Meredith potentially. Some of the rare Singleton and Cole cards. It seems like a lot of the Bane Shields have been garnering a lot of interest. So, I think that we'll continue to see this market do well in pockets when certain players come up. The next thing that I thought was a top 20 card that had not sold for $100,000 would sell for $100,000, and we basically blew that away. There was a couple Puskas cards, one SGC4 in March sold for $110. Later, PSA 9 Puskas sold for $310 or $12. And then a best PSA 9 sold for $70,000 in November in what's really a down market. So those were all spectacular. Of course, two of them crossed 100,000 range. I think that was great for the market. Garnered a lot of interest and notoriety for soccer cards of the non Pele, Maradona, Messi, CR7 ilk. The third thing that I talked about was that I thought the Messi market was going to be soft in 2022, and they were actually catastrophically soft as you kind of went through the entire 2022 year. Didn't start off great for him. Of course, it ended great with the World Cup win, but in the end, that couldn't stave off a serious correction. This 35 Messi portrait card sold for as much as 65,000 last year in PSA 10, and I think it was 6-7,000 by the end of the year. So catastrophic fall on most Messi cards, and unfortunately that's just the way that it is. I think we got a little bit of a bump after the World Cup, and I largely think that the market should be consolidating this. Obviously, still an epic buy in the long term for soccer, as I'll discuss in my 2023 video. But unfortunately, I was right on this one, and the market took a ton of pain in 2022. The Messi market did. The other thing that we expected, or I expected to see in 2022, and we did see in 2022, was $1 million soccer cards. To date, the only one that we've had. In 2021, a PSA 9 Alifa Bologue sold for $900,000, brokered by Goldin in a private sale. And I believe that card again would be the leading candidate to cross the $1 million threshold. It sold for $1.3 million in February, and that was from Rally Road. The fractional company sold that card, and so they have the record now for a soccer card at $1.3 million. And this particular card, PSA 9, it would be interesting to see where this card went now. But certainly that was a blockbuster sale at the time. It's hard to believe that was less than a year ago, because of all the chaos that has ensued in the market since then. Number 5, I thought that we would probably see a World Cup run beginning in the summer, and that didn't happen. I mean, the catastrophic economic meltdown in the global economy, worries about inflation. We really didn't see anything positive in really any collectibles market or financial market from that perspective. So whether you were in Bitcoin, NASDAQ, stocks, Tesla, whatever, you probably saw a bloodbath in those holdings from 2022, the beginning of 2022 to the end. And we really didn't see. There was some modern day players that obviously were participating in the Cup that saw a little bit of runs based on their performance. Messi saw kind of a little bit of a mini bump, but we really didn't get a huge bump in vintage stars. And in fact, we saw a huge influx of supply, and that, without the bump in demand, created some pressure on the markets in the end of 2023. So got this one wrong. I think the macro events just muted what any potential bump we could have seen in that market. So that was a bit disappointing. 2022, I actually thought that the vintage soccer Discord would grow to 1,000 plus members. A lot of momentum early in the year, and it did, in fairness, do pretty well. In the year, we ended with 853 participants in the vintage soccer Discord. If you want to join, please see in the link below. It's a great place to share industry knowledge. And we ended with 853. Now, Bill had culled about 100, so that put us at 950 on an apples to apples. He culled about 100 people that weren't active. So in the end, on an apples to apples basis, within 5% of what I expected. So we ended up being around 950. Still short of the 1,000, but still a great environment to learn more about soccer cards. So please join the Discord, absolutely free, and you'll get to interact with lots of collectors from all over the world. The seventh prediction that I had in 2002 was that Pele's health could be a major story. Certainly during the World Cup, it was a major story with people coming out saying that, he was in the hospital and passed, and he came back and said he was fine. We knew he'd been sick for quite a while, and ultimately he did pass before the end of the year. And I think it was a pretty big story. Not a huge impact on his prices per se. Again, these macro events are just so much bigger than soccer cards or soccer individuals. So unfortunately, it was correct. Many homages were paid for him, which I think will be good for the overall collecting environment going forward. It's so recent, his passing. Totally unsure of the medium or longer term effects. But for now, obviously Pele is passed, and what we have of him is what we have of him: memories, collectibles, cards, stickers, and really his place still to me solidified as the GOAT. With probably Messi being right up there. The eighth expectation that I had was that PSA would open at the lowest level of 20 to 30. They got through the backlog probably even a little faster than I thought. And they hit $18 for bulk submissions. I think now as we launch 2023, I think they're sitting at 19. For TPGs, they were all the way down to 15. So 19 at a higher 499 going forward in 2023. We'll see how that happens. I still believe they'll end it. Certainly this was overachieved. At the time that I wrote this, they were basically $70 was their lowest rate, or 75 or 100, I can't remember. And then, they were getting swamped when the minimum was 50, and then they, had it at 30 and they were getting swamped. So, they've done a pretty good job of managing the demand on the way down. We'll see where it ends. I think for collectors, it needs to end in, the sub 15 range. But for now, 19 at a $500 value certainly seems like a place that it could stick for a while. And this one, easily surpassed what I had expected. The number 9 thing that I thought in 2022 was we'd find at least 5 new rookies. And actually, it's interesting that 2021 had a bunch of great rookies being found. R9, Zico, Cubillas, and there were newly graded Pele and Eusebio. And then, what we found in 2022 was actually João in Portugal put his hands on an Astros and a new Coluna rookie. And I found 3 what can be considered rookie material Di Stefano rookies in Argentina, which included the Bicicleta, the Aruc, and Captain Nelson. The Aruc and the Bicicleta have him in his Huracan outfit, and the Nelson has him in his River Plate outfit. So pretty amazing collectibles from a soccer collectible standpoint. We always have these things going on, so I think that it's part of the excitement and distress of collecting soccer cards. For me, those Di Stefanos are the pride of my collection, and it's always fun to see what is found in a given year. The 10th thing that I thought that the market was going to be able to sustain and remain relatively stable despite the massive influx of PSA graded slabs, which we knew were coming back from the bulk submissions, of which many of those were bound to be pre-modern because of the higher print runs. And I thought we could get an equal number of collectors to absorb these at more or less the market prices. And unfortunately, I was completely wrong here. Many pre-modern stickers have been absolutely decimated. It has not done well. Many cards, even at the close of 2022, can be had at pre-pandemic prices. Basically not a lot of material additional demand for this segment came through. Now that said, I think it creates a great opportunity, which I'll talk about in my 2023 video, but I was definitely wrong here. I thought we'd see some stabilization of a lot of these prices. And you know what? The reality is there's a lot of great pre-modern stickers that have limited, I think a lot of the stuff, like the baby's getting thrown out with the bathwater here. There's a lot of great stuff in this segment that people should really really look at going forward. My 11th thing was that the PWCC and Goldin practices would favor high value sales. And I think this absolutely, I mean, I don't know how you could quantify this, but to my eyes, this absolutely held. And what we had is we had some, the high end of the market, the promotion of these things and the ease of sale kind of on the high end happened, and it went through mostly Goldin and PWCC. And then the low end was a little bit no man's land, and a lot of those things kind of got lost in the shuffle, whether at Goldin or at PWCC. And I think this is a changing market dynamic, which we'll have to take into account as we kind of get into 2023. In my 2023, I'll do a video about where I think low value makes the most sense. But for 2022, I think PWCC and Goldin really ran as the leaders of the high value soccer trades. And my 12th thing was that I would find 2 items on my top 10 most wanted lists. You never know what's going to happen. I actually found 3 key DeStefanos that I mentioned earlier. I also found a Pepe card, which I had on my list for a long time, and a lot of other ones that weren't on my top 10 list, but certainly added to the El Rey collection. I find it really great myself to have a top 10 most wanted list at every time, to kind of remind me what is my what I should be reaching for and what things I shouldn't necessarily be reaching for. So it doesn't make a ton of sense to me to reach for a duplicate unless I think the market has completely overshot its decrease in value, and that's a great investment. But I do this again as a hobby, not necessarily just an investment. So I prefer to pick up things I don't have, and those things are the ones on my top 12 most wanted list. Things that are I'm looking to upgrade because I'm not happy with my copy, or things that I want to add to the collection. So 2022 was a blessed year for my collection, and I'm super happy, and thanks to all the collectors that have tried to help me with inroads to getting better in the crossing things off my top 10 most wanted list. So thank you guys. So here's kind of my progress report. As said, it's kind of a mixed bag. We had a lot of some great sales early in the year. Pre-war going for 10,000, top 20 market top 20 going for more than 100,000 in the Puskas and the Best almost getting there. There were some downs, like the Messi Market not being being extra soft, even though I kind of forecasted that was down for the general market. The World Cup win didn't run never materialized, and pre-modern suffered, but still lots of other rookies happening. PSA is becoming much more accessible in terms of pricing. Pele's health will probably ultimately, some of those people that have been listening to these stories will filter back into the market, most likely. Still some big question marks of the market and how to sell out there are some things that we'll talk about in my 2023 video. But it was absolutely a terrible market from the financial markets perspective. Just there was softness all around sports cards and collectibles. So I think that when you dissect and compare the soccer market results relative to the pandemic, relative to other things that have happened, whether those are crypto or NFTs or other card categories, I still like where we are. I think a lot of what we've seen is because of those increased pops that I mentioned earlier, and not really a massive degradation of demand. We didn't get a lot of additional demand, and so those increases pops hurt, but I think we're set up right to get additional demand in the following year. So it's not like we're holding bizarre one-off, through a certain non-open sea format NFTs. We're holding really rare collectibles that are going to prove to be much more difficult to find than many U.S. issues by Topps or some of the more national things in the U.S. just because of the nature of soccer card collecting. So I'll talk a little bit more about this in 2023. Why I'm excited for the market, and why I think 2023 is going to be an awesome year for collectors. But despite kind of a general downtick in prices, lots of fundamental markers have been posted for the soccer market that have really solidified it as the fourth most important card market out there. So 2022 not great for those of us holding tons of soccer cards throughout the year, but I think it's really setting it up for 2023 to be a great collector's year, and many important milestones were still hit in 2022 that are going to prove important for the long run of the hobby. So hope you've enjoyed the 2022 review. And if you have, please click a like button and please subscribe. I'm almost to 1,000 suppliers, putting in a lot of time and effort to bring my thoughts and knowledge to the soccer card market. And I certainly hope you guys have a great 2023. And we'll see you on my other videos as the year progresses. Take care, everybody.